There comes a time in every man's life,
and he has to stop looking up to his heroes and become one himself.
It doesn't matter who you voted for,
or what kind of car you drive, or what the man on the news has to say.
Just take a look around. This ain't the life we fought for.
Our world is under siege.
Our nation is in peril.
And our people are divided.
We've sacrificed too much for our freedom to let it slip away now. The world doesn't need more billionaires.
The world doesn't need more politicians. The world needs heroes. And you don't need X-ray vision, you don't need to fly, you don't need to look cool on the cover of a comic book. You just need to realize what you're made of. And you are the few. You are the strong.
You are the brave.
Here's the problem with America, the country is broken. Cause they minds stay closed, but they mouths stay open. Get attacked and we blame terrorists, go broken, we blame the price. Blame racists for the racism, but only if his skin is white. If we don't need guns, cause we can call the police. We don't need fire extinguishers, call a fireman please. You didn't wanna build a wall and now the border is weak. Your favorite actor has a gate that's like 15 feet. Racism is gay, if you're offended, that's retarded. And tolerance is great until you speak and you're a target. If a white man paints his face black, he's a racist piece of garbage. But you put him in a dress and he's courageous and he's gorgeous. All these double standards, man, I'm tired of the noise. Freedom's an illusion if they censor your voice. Call a dad a deadbeat for neglecting his boys, but a mom kills a baby and you call it pro-choice. You act like you're so much better than us. Yeah, we know that. Who told you that you so special to a new world order? Your facts ain't facts without censoring us. Yeah, we know that. Good job, you lose, here's your medal. A new world order.
Why they hate the flag, they try to burn it to the ground. Don't do that in front of me, I'ma let off a round. Pow, scream loud, burn the city down now. Put it on the news, make them all feel proud. Look, make a system where 85% of black people fill the prison. Is it cause they black or they make bad decisions? I ain't good at math, but it seems like it's division. Or is it white privilege? I believe politicians need to be locked up. Try to take our freedoms, that's how you get shot up. Got our back against the wall, try to just stop us. More guns, more ammunition, please stock up. Election gets rigged, rights get infringed. Take this syringe, frighten your kids, show up right where you live. Make me wanna grab a rifle and just go.
You act like you're so much better than us. Yeah, we know that. Who told you that you so special to a new world order? Your facts ain't facts without censoring us. Yeah, we know that. Good job, you lose, here's your medal to a new world order.
All right, that was Adam Calhoun and Tom MacDonald, Nova Rockefeller, New World Order, from the album The Brave. Check it out. Trying to figure out what's going on here with the sound. I don't know. Something don't seem right. Check, check, check. Well, I guess we're all right. Hopefully. I don't know. Hopefully it's all coming in out there. Anyway, welcome to the show. On this fine afternoon. It's a cold ass day out here in Wyoming. And so I figured, I might as well do a show this afternoon. We got a lot of stuff going on. I'm not going to talk about Slapsgiving. We already did that. So that's done. We're going to worry about that. That's a done deal. We are going to talk about a lot of the stuff that transpired within the last week. In Europe, and with just the information that's come out not only from the commander-in-chief, but his White House as well. Those are some big things. There were some big issues that happened within the last number of days, with them doing these what they call a walk back, which is where Biden says one thing, and then the White House comes out with a statement saying, no, that's not what's going on. That's not what we're doing. And then just contradictions between staffers and what the president's saying. You've got Kamala Harris just making foolishness out of herself everywhere she goes. She shouldn't be allowed in public anymore. She shouldn't even. I don't know what they need to do with her. Quite frankly, the whole administration. Really, Biden should resign. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, that's not going to solve anything because he resigns, and then you've got the you've got the order. So then we get Kamala Harris as president. I mean, if there's anything worse than Joe Biden, it's Kamala Harris. I don't know. They're both up. They're all terrible. You can't sit, and I'm not trying to even have that lesser of anything argument. The whole thing is a sham. It's a setup. It's been designed. It's been put in place. And, these people behind the curtains that are pulling the strings are just going to try and keep it going. I mean, the guy can't even read his cue cards, though. So to start with, Biden gave that speech that, at the end he talked about, dignity and honor and this and that and democracy and freedom. And then he ended it with, for God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. Talking about Putin. Now, Russia's a G20 country, a nuclear powerhouse. I mean, they have these hypersonic missiles that we don't even have. We can't shoot those things down. I mean, they get here so fast. We can't. There's no defense against these things. And Russia has them and China has them. The United States, we don't have them for some reason. It's because we've been too busy arguing about bathrooms and bullshit and this garbage. And we'll get into the don't say gay bill. Don't say gay, even though the term gay is never even referenced in that bill. I don't know how many of you have read HB 1557 from Florida. Okay? It's a 7-page bill. It is not one of these 2,000-page pieces of crap that they put through in, Congress where they put the bill on the floor hours before voting on it. Excuse me, and it's, 2,500 pages, which who's going to be able to read that? I don't care how many staffers you have. And then you have people with like Pelosi that say, well, we have to pass it to see what's in it. This bill in Florida, this is about parental rights. It's about parents having a part of their child's education and knowing what's going on with them, basically. Now, I've run into this as a parent. There have been issues that have happened where my son, where the school decides they're going to handle them in-house, and they haven't contacted me. And then when I find out about the issues down the road, I mean, I've been upset. I've been pissed. I've gone into principals' offices and said, what the hell? It's like, you need to contact me about this. And, well, we didn't think, it's like, I don't care. It's like something like this is like, you need to contact me. So that's what this bill is approaching. And there's literally in this bill, and you need to read it. I encourage anybody out there that's saying this, don't say gay shit. There's nothing in there about don't say gay. Okay. And most of the people that listen to my show out there, I know most of you are parents. Okay. And so, you're going to understand where I'm coming from here. Now, in HB 1557 on page 4, line 97, it basically says classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties, sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in K through 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate, of developmentally appropriate. I can't remember how it is. Developmentally appropriate way of carrying themselves. Basically, I could pull it up here. I've got it up on top. I'll just I'll pull that section up so you all can see it. So there's nothing in this document. Okay, here we go. Here we've got HB. Let me pull this up so everybody can see it. Let's see if we can get it up here a little bit higher. Okay, so there we have the document. All right, so it's an act. Okay, here's what it starts with. An act relating to parental rights in education. Okay, requiring district school boards to adopt procedures that comport with certain provisions of law for notifying a student's parent of specified information, requiring such procedures to reinforce the fundamental right of parents to make decisions regarding the upbringing and control of their children in a specified manner. So what they're talking about is they're talking about anything going on with a child, mentally, psychologically, physically, socially, things of this nature that a parent should be made aware of. And it's basically saying that with minor children, that that anybody representing the school should not be able to advise them in manners that are keeping secrets from parents. And there's a provision in that says unless the information to the parent would provoke any kind of abuse, neglect, abandonment, things of that nature. Which I don't think anybody disagrees with that. And I don't think anybody out there thinks that you should be talking about sexual orientation, gender issues, or anything like that with children kindergarten through third grade. I'd say that it should probably extend a little bit beyond that. And I think that those should be things that parents should discuss with their children. I've discussed those issues with my son because I don't want him getting the information from the school. I want him to get the truth. And here's the truth to me is that everybody has the right to do what they want to do as long as they're not causing any harm. And I don't think that as long as a person's sexual orientation, their gender identity, what have you, the list goes on. I know that there's a gazillion different acronyms for this. And I'm not going to get into it because the way I feel about it is that, listen, if you're doing no harm, do your thing. Do your thing. The only issue I take exception with is when you have, somebody that transitions to become a female and they're already an adult. Say, for instance, an individual that had been swimming competitively in the men's collegiate sphere was ranked 462nd in men's collegiate swimming, and then all of a sudden transitions, is allowed to compete against females, is obviously much larger. You look at Leah Thomas's neck, it's ridiculous. There's a photo of one of the starts. I guess you'd call it a start in swimming. I'm not that familiar with swimming. But they're going off the starting, I don't know what you call it, the block, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. It's not a diving board, but it's elevated. And it shows the initial dive into the water. And Leah Thomas is way above the other swimmers and extended out, from jump. And then I didn't watch, I don't even know where you'd find the footage, but they said that she handily won a 500 meter, I believe it was. And then basically kind of threw the rest of the events. And was probably told to do so, to lay off. But then you see her on the podium, getting medals and stuff after. There's no you just can't say that that's fair. You've got, imagine being a female athlete. You've worked your butt off your entire life to become a Division I collegiate swimmer. And then you're out there and you're competing against somebody who you can't compete against. And Leah Thomas was 462nd in the nation, was the ranking. So that right there tells you, okay, and I don't care what anybody has to say, there is a difference between men and women. There's a biological difference. You can't argue that. Certainly, like I've said before, there are anomalies. I don't want to fight Ronda Rousey. But if Ronda Rousey was to fight a trained mixed martial arts fighter that was a man, it could be somebody way down the bottom of the totem pole, and it's not going to go that far. It's just, men and women are built different. And so that leads us to, the whole Ketanji Brown Jackson confirmation hearings. And she was asked if she could provide a definition for a woman. And she said no. So she can't define herself? Because everybody knows it was made common knowledge by Joe Biden. And I'm going to scroll down here while I'm talking here to this section here. I need to find page 4. And what did I say it was? Section. Okay. Anyway. So I'm flopping here. But this is the Florida bill right here. Okay. So as we can see, number 3, line 97, page 4, it says classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. That's the only place in this 7-page bill that anything whatsoever about sexual orientation or gender identity is mentioned. And all it says is that instruction on this may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3. Do you want your kindergartner learning about sexual orientation or gender identity? Maybe you do. I personally didn't want that going. I went in when my son was in kindergarten. I went in twice a week and read to those kids, did math work with them, helped them out with their little stations where they would rotate through. And it was, it was fun, and it was about learning about what they, you're talking about the building blocks of learning at that age, right? You're talking about reading, learning how to count, learning your alphabet, your ABCs, you know what I mean? It's not about learning this woke bullshit, this nonsense that these idiots want to teach these kids. It's like these, it's ridiculous. Be awake. Don't be woke. This woke culture, it's grammatically incorrect and it drives me freaking nuts. It makes me absolutely crazy when I hear that woke shit. It's not even grammatically correct, and I'm sorry. I'm a writer. I happen to enjoy the English language, have studied it quite extensively. And to sit here and listen to some category of people defined as a grammatically incorrect term, it just drives me crazy. And then what they all stand for is absolutely ridiculous. It's so stupid and ignorant. The critical race theory bullshit, it's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. It's ludicrous. I am not even trying to say that we should do anything other than teach our kids to be loving and compassionate. Straight up. I have no problem with that. But what we're teaching them to do is go beyond that to a point where it's judgmental, it's condescending, and it's out of line. It's not about understanding a person. And it says, well, if you're not in this fringe group, okay? Like, they did a poll. I believe it came out, I want to say yesterday. The United States, in this poll, now you can't take polling numbers for anything other than, okay, somebody did this. Somebody came out with this. Excuse me. People thought that the United States, that the population was 47% black. No. 17%. 17%, people. The idiots, this is what I'm saying. People are so stupid in this country. Such idiots, such morons. They don't even have a clue. And this is from watching mainstream garbage and just believing everything that you hear. Who in their right mind is going to say that the United States is 47% black? It is not. It's 17%. Look it up. People came out and they said that they thought that it was that this country was 30% gay. 3%. 3%. But people in this country are so stupid and so easily led and manipulated that they think that it's 30% when it's 3%. They said something like they thought 21% of this country was transgender. 1%. 1%. So, I don't know. I mean, 84% of the people in this country didn't know where Ukraine was and had to have Kamala Harris explain it in layman's terms. And we've all seen that, and I've gone over that and beat that dead horse to death with a whip, and, you know, it ain't riding anymore. I mean, but that's the type of people we have. We have people out there that they share, you know, and here's what I got to tell you. Don't share these stupid memes on social media unless you check it out. Don't just put this crap out there, okay? This don't say gay shit, okay? There's nothing in this bill about don't say gay. This is about parental rights with their children in the educational system. That's it. It's about parents being informed about what's going on with their children. I don't have a problem with that. In fact, I've been in the school a number of times, like anything goes on with my kid, I'm like, you need to get on the phone and you need to either email me, text me, call me, whatever. If I don't answer, I'll get right back to you as soon as I can. I don't think that there's a parent out there that feels otherwise. You want to know what's going on with your kids, right? Something's going on, something's happening with them. I mean, especially as they, you know, are in, you know, adolescence. I mean, you know, they hit the teenage years and you don't know what's going on with them. They're, you know, you got kids are going through changes. They're growing. Their hormones are going nuts. There's social issues. There's all sorts of things going on. You know, they're becoming, you know, they're young adults. And you don't necessarily, as a parent, a lot of times don't. I mean, I happen to think of myself as a pretty cool parent. You know what I mean? Like I think I'm pretty hip, but I'm not. I'm a lame just like everybody else. I mean, I might sit here and, you know, do this and, you know, have tattoos and long hair and, you know, play guitars and, you know, do things that I thought were cool when I was that age, but I don't have really a pulse on what's cool to a 14, 15-year-old kid right now. I don't play video games. I damn sure don't understand the music, which is, you know, I try to stay away from, you know, being derogatory towards the musical selections, because I stop and think back to the shit we were listening to back in the 80s, you know? I mean, I can't stand 80s music. I know there's a lot of people out there that just love it. People my age, I lived it once. I don't want to go back. Trust me. I do not want to go back. I mean, there's maybe a couple 80s songs that I would listen to. But most of it is just like, oh my God. And then the way we looked, I mean, you know, we want to get on, you know, kids. I mean, that's always going to be the case. The younger generation's always going to do things that are outlandish. They're going to do things that stand out. I mean, that's, you know, young people are trying to make a mark. But what I'm saying is, with this bill, kids that are in kindergarten through third grade, come on. There's absolutely no place for it. Now, you know, I don't care. Boys want to play with dolls. Girls want to play with Tonka trucks. You have that happen all the time. My son's favorite color was pink when he was little. I didn't care. I bought him pink stuff. People were like, you're going to get him that. You're going to let him go to wear that girl stuff. It's like, it's a color. It doesn't matter. I mean, I don't care. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter. I mean, you got to let a child be who they're going to be. You don't force things on them. You teach your kids to be loving and compassionate towards everybody, to have empathy, sympathy, and to basically not be mean. You know, kids, that's learned behavior, and they learn it from parents, they learn it from school. I mean, and more so now than ever, you know, they're being taught their morals from somebody other than parents. Because, I mean, now we live in a place, you know, where we're in a setting where mom and dad are both working. One or the other or both are working two jobs. We got an economy that's crashing. I mean, and I'm telling you this right now, people, you better get prepared, better get ready, because in the next 90 days, it's going to go bad. And here's my big tip off on this. Okay, everybody knows what a CD is at the bank, right? Certified deposit. You get, you know, you go and you put this deposit down and you let it sit there. Well, fact of the matter is, it's not just sitting there. They're loaning it out. Okay, it's the same thing. It's the fractional reserve banking system. Okay, so 10% of that is supposed to remain on hand, and the other 90% can be lent out. We're not going to get into that right now. However, what we are going to talk about is interest rates. Okay, now typically, the longer you would keep a CD, you know, say you got an option to pull one at 6 months or 12 months. Okay, so you go in there and you make your deposit, and they give you, and these are just arbitrary made up numbers. Okay, so you go in and, you know, at 6 months, you're going to get 4% back. If you leave it for a year, you get 8, or you get, say, 6.5. Well, it's opposite of that now. Okay, so so now you go in and you put down $200, and you're going to get a higher return in 6 months than you would at 12 months. Now, every time there's been an influx like that, it's been right before a major recession, a major crisis. And this one is, I mean, you throw in the supply chain problems, inflation, fuel prices, war. Now, a lot of people are saying that we're already in World War III. And I don't know what to say about that, because this is happening in such a far reach of the world to where we're at. There aren't many of us that really know what's going on over there. You can say this, that, and the other thing from what you see on your TV screen, on your computer, the radio, podcasts, wherever you're getting your information. Hopefully it's not from CNN or MSDNC or even Fox. If you watch Fox, my advice would be, and this is just me, Tucker Carlson is about the only one that even has a clue. And I like Gutfeld. Greg Gutfeld, his night show is pretty good, you know. But Hannity's he's out there in the outfield. He's out there in the weeds. I mean, he's just playing the warmonger, you know. So we get back to that whole thing. So we send, and this trip did nobody any good by sending Joe Biden over there. I mean, he's worried about the climate, right? Okay. Not only with Air Force One do you have that big ass jet putting out emissions, but what do you think he's got for air support? I mean, that's a big cloud of carbon going out there, right? If they were so worried about the climate, wouldn't he just stay and just do a Zoom call with his mask on a Zoom call? I mean, it could have been handled just like that. He didn't have to go over there. The damn sure didn't need him over there talking to the 82nd Airborne, telling them that when you're in there, you're going to see women and children standing in front of tanks. He said that. He said, when you're there. Those guys, if you looked at the reactions of those guys, they were number one, I don't think they were happy to see him. And you saw what happened after, you know, the inauguration when they had D.C. walled off, fenced off, all the National Guard there. And those National Guardsmen made it a point when that motorcade went by to turn their backs on him. Never in history have I seen anything like that. And I don't think any of those guys got any, there were no repercussions from that for those guys. I mean, as far as I know, in the military, you are not supposed to do that to the, President of the United States. And you can't say they were just looking around for, I mean, these guys legitimately, because there were some guys that remained facing him, but a large group of them just turned their backs. What's that say? You know, and I hope that when it comes to police, when it comes to, you know, people in the armed services, that when it comes down to it, and they ask you to turn around on your fellow citizens, that you remember the oath of office, or the oath that you took to defend the Constitution, you know, to be of service to the people, to the citizens, because, you know, the majority of people are not being represented right now. I don't know. There's nobody I know right now that's in favor of much of anything that's going on. I mean, I wish I had good news. I really do. I mean, the only good news I can think of is that Hillary Clinton got fined $8,000, and the DNC got hit with like $150,000 or something like that because of them lying about what they did with the Steele dossier in the 2016 election. So any of you out there that think that that Steele dossier held any water and that it led to any kind of a legitimate investigation on Russian collusion, which was what happened. The Steele dossier, it led to the FISA warrant on Carter Page, ruined his life. And then it also led to the whole Russiagate hoax. And finally, I guess better late than never, but finally, Clinton, fined $8,000. Do you know what that is to Hillary Clinton? It's like her picking her nose and flicking it at the wall. $8,000. And then, I mean, I guess more so than anything, it was just the act that they actually did. I mean, it's an arbitrary number that means nothing. Who paid the $8,000? Where'd the $8,000 go? Where's that money go? That's an interesting question, isn't it? Where's the money from the DNC go? Does it go to the RNC? Where's it go? I mean, it's an arbitrary number. It doesn't even matter. I mean, what? I want to say it was $100,000, or maybe it was $150,000. It wasn't much. When you're part of setting up a scam like that, how many millions did that cost the American taxpayers to have Bob Mueller out there staggering around, making up nonsense, and then coming up with nothing? It was like $42 million, wasn't it? Shouldn't they have been fined that and interest on that? Shouldn't the American taxpayer be reimbursed for that? That would make sense to me. In a democracy, in a just society, if you and I, as the tax-paying Americans, spent $42 million and I didn't approve that money for that thing, I knew right away it was a hoax, that it was a joke. You know why? Because everything Trump did was in Putin's face. I mean, I could have believed it if Putin had jumped and, gone into Ukraine during the Trump administration. It wasn't going to happen. And it wouldn't have happened if Trump was still in office. I don't care what you say. Biden's on the take from them. All of them. And that leads us to his kid's laptop. They finally come out 532 days. 532 days after that laptop was given to the FBI. They finally come out and say it belonged to him. But then you see Matt Gaetz Tuesday, I believe. It was either Monday or Tuesday. He's got the assistant director of the FBI cyber division on the stand. And he's asking him, where's Hunter Biden's laptop? And the guy says he doesn't know. This is the assistant director of the FBI's Division of Cyber Security, okay? He doesn't know where it is. Matt Gaetz has the hard drive. He's got the information, and he got it released on congressional record. I've been trying to look it up. I don't think they've put it out there yet, but he did, from what I understand, I guess Nadler initially started to object, and then he said no objections, and then apparently came back with an objection over it. From what I understand, it is going to be made part of the congressional record, so people, in theory, will be able to access that. But I hate to say it, but most of y'all have never been on the congressional record, have you? Most of y'all haven't. Some of you probably have, but most of y'all probably have never even looked at any of these documents. You probably didn't look up the don't say gay bill. Guess who did? I did. HB 1557. Look it up. Read it. It's only 7 pages. If you can't put 7 pages of time into reading something, I don't think there's going to be a single thing in this bill that any of you out there would disagree with. You know? And there's nothing in there that says anything derogatory. There's nothing stereotyping. There's nothing, definitively saying anything about, gay is not even a word that's in this bill. It's not there. Literally, page 4, section 3, sentence 97, and it goes down through 100 on that page, on page 4, and then it spills over into page 5, and it goes into 101. So I'm talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines, and it's one sentence. It's one sentence, and I've read it to you twice. And it's right here. All you got to do is look up HB 1557, Florida House of Representatives. It would come right through. It's 7 pages. It doesn't have a bunch of writers and bullshit like they do in the federal government, I mean, and it's all about parents being notified about students' mental, emotional, physical well-being, any kind of social stuff going on. I mean, that's it. Or discussing. There's also a part about the school discussing, or, it says about prohibiting classroom discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity in certain grade levels in a specified manner. So it does mention that sentence twice. I mean, at certain grade levels. Does anybody think that you need to be talking about gender identity or sexual orientation with a kindergartner? You roll the ball out there and you let them play. I mean, how many of you had those discussions when you were that age? I remember just trying not to end up sticking my tongue on a light pole out on the playground. I mean, if they're just running around like just eating snacks, singing the ABC songs, learning how to stand in line, learning how to raise your hand. I know I got in trouble my first day. I called the principal and said he looked like fat Charlie Chaplin, and that started off my educational career right there with a bang. Oops. That's what he looked like. And the keys jingling, coins, the coin pot, wore them slacks that they wore back in the day. That kind of, they weren't corduroy, but they had that, that sound when they walk. And he kind of had that, the belly and the kind of knock-kneed penguin walk, and shoes that looked like they were plastic. Short sleeve, button-up shirt, white, brown tie, bald with a comb over, Charlie Chaplin mustache. Come on. I mean, I don't know. I guess I knew who Charlie Chaplin was when I was in kindergarten. I don't know. But the comment didn't go over well. I got in trouble my first day of school. But anyway, yeah, so this was kind of crazy watching Getz. He's drilling the assistant FBI cyber director, Brian Vondern was his name, and he doesn't know where the laptop is. That's pretty interesting, and I haven't seen what's going on with Clarence Thomas today, but it was kind of weird that everything happened to him. And then you look at what Virginia Thomas, was texting out to Mark Meadows and stuff. And that whole thing saying that they didn't need to let up. But I'm telling you, folks, we need to be ready. The bottom's about to fall out of this thing. And when I talk about just the mention of those CD rates right there, you look at that, you look at, and all this stuff has been distraction too, to get us away from, inflation, fuel prices. Why do you think these things happen? And if you watch that stupid Slapsgiving thing the other night and you slow it down and you tell me that wasn't orchestrated, I'm going to say that you are naive. Because if you watch that thing and you see Will Smith laughing at the joke, excuse me, and then you see Jada Pinkett Smith over there and she's making that, the roll in the eyes, like not amused look. Will's over there laughing. He looks at her, he sees her reaction, and then he gets up. And the slap. All orchestrated. All orchestrated. I wouldn't be surprised to find out those guys were out partying and throwing back champagne that night. I mean, if you don't think that celebrities are called upon to do things from time to time, to take... Because we're stupid. We're like dogs that see squirrels. Squirrel? Forget about everything we're doing. I mean, and that's what this is. It's a squirrel. And everybody, on my feeds, on everything, the last 3 days, it's been nothing but that. And you won't see, they've not, on any major news network other than Fox News, they have not even talked about Hunter Biden. Not at all. I mean, this stuff has come out to be true. This was something that the New York Post broke when it happened. And Twitter shut down the New York Post. They shut down their Twitter feed. They shut the whole thing down. They labeled it, and they're coming after the 50-some odd former intelligence personnel that signed off on the letter saying that it wasn't legit. And that was what Biden used, saying that 50-some... That is the prerequisite to work for this fucking CIA, is to fucking be able to lie on cue. When have they ever told you the truth? You're talking about Clapper, the guy who got up there and said that the NSA was not surveilling Americans. Not wittingly anyhow, and then came out and said that was the most honest untruth that he could tell in that situation. So he lied. He perjured himself in front of Congress in 2013. 2018 comes along, statutes of limitations to go after him for it. Comes and goes. And now he's an authority on these things again. The guy is a liar. He has zero credibility. None of them do. None of them do. Politicians, no credibility. None of these people have any credibility. There's 2 of them I can think of, maybe 2 or 3. One of which isn't in office anymore, and the other 2 are from Kentucky. Out of the whole mess, those are the only guys. Rand Paul and Thomas Massie were probably the only ones I would even think about trusting. Maybe Jim Jordan. He seems to be pretty down the line. Seems to be pretty honest. Calls it how he sees it. Is not scared. Isn't timid. That's what we need to see in these people that are. That's what leadership is not being fearful. It's following your convictions, regardless of what everybody else is doing, regardless of the status quo. It's standing up and saying, hey, nah, this is bullshit. And we're living in a society where you can't do that anymore. I've been shut down twice now. And yeah, I call it how I see it. But I'm not saying anything that's harmful to anybody. I never have. I get hit with a medical misinformation, and then 2 days later, people come out with citing the same study that I cited. Yet I get a 2-week hiatus, and then the other individuals that put out the same information just stays up. You've got misinformation about what's going on in Ukraine that's still up. Talking about the ghost of Kiev, talking about Snake Island. People still believe that. We're talking about a country in which believes that 47% of our population are African American, when it's 17%. Who did they poll on this? I don't know. It's hard to tell. That's why I say you can't really listen to the polls, but when you see them, sometimes they're worth citing just because they're so outlandish. 30% of this country is gay, 21% are transgender. Okay, 3% of the country is gay, 1% is transgender, 17% black. Those are the numbers. But the citizenry thinks this other thing. Now, why is that? Why are people so uninformed? Now, when I say you all, I'm not talking to anybody individually, but that generally shows me that there is a serious bunch of misinformation among the American people. And then I'm watching, Mark Levin the other day. He's talking about how 74% of the people are in favor of this, that, and the other thing in Ukraine. He's citing poll numbers of what the American people think and saying that should be how we take action. I would not take action on what the majority of anybody thinks in this country, because the masses are asses, and it's never been more true than it is today. Because we have just a citizenry full of uninformed idiots out there. I'm sorry, stupid idiots. It starts with any of these woke morons, okay? You all are idiots. You're straight morons. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because y'all are stupid. The garbage that you're out there peddling and believing and everything else is just nonsensical. And it's so far from being compassionate and loving your neighbor, showing empathy, caring about people. It's so far from that. It's ridiculous. And if you can't see that, then you probably need to do some self-evaluation. Because I'm not in that category at all. I'm awake. I am not woke. I didn't woke up this morning. I'm not sitting here I'm awoke. I'm awake. Be awake, not woke. I'm so woke. No, you're not. You're stupid. Might as well just go bang your head against a wall and do us all a favor. Go stand in the corner. I don't know. Do something other than what you're doing, because it's this virtue signaling and this identity politics, and it's not working, is it, folks? We're either in or on the precipice of World War III. We've either had a financial collapse or we're on the verge of a collapse. Everything that I've seen from the financial gurus that I tune into and listen to and trust and think are on the right page, they're saying that 90 days, and it's all going to get real quick. People are going to be living in cars. The homeless rates, it's going to go even further out of control than it is already. And yet we have no problem whatsoever sending $15 billion to Ukraine and put another $300 million on top of that. And then, Antony Blinken comes out and says that we're going to send the Poland MiGs. I'm so sick of that word, MiGs. If I never hear that word again, I'll be okay with that. We're going to send these dilapidated fighter jets from Poland to the Ukrainians to use. And then us, the American taxpayer, are going to be responsible for backlogging those dilapidated fighter jets from Poland. We're going to have to replace them with brand new F-16s. Any idea how much that costs? You'd be appalled. That's on you, and that's on me. And we just sit here and let it happen. Nobody says anything about it because everybody's too goddamn stupid to even think about any of this shit. You're too stupid. Everybody always asks me why I get so wound up about this. I can't even hardly have conversations with people. Once in a while, I run into somebody I can really have a conversation with. And it's not very many. You know, people just, I don't know why, why do you even think, why wouldn't I think about these things? Why wouldn't you think about these things? This is what's controlling our world. This is what controls our lives. These are the people that are making these calls. These are the people that we elected to represent us. They're not representing us. They're representing themselves. They're representing their own greed. They're representing their parties. They're representing the corporations, the banking system, foreign interests, special interests. Like BCP says. Shout out to BCP. I love that dude. He's a black conservative patriot. Check out his show. He's one who's out there that'll actually tell you how it is. There's not very many anymore. The other one that you should look up is if you're into any of this stuff that I'm telling you about, look up Salty Cracker. He's great. Like I said, watch Tucker. But and with all things, you have to be critical about it. You got to think about things critically. Even the guys that and the ladies. I mean, I love watching. Kim Iverson. I like Crystal and Cigar. On Breaking Point now, they used to be Rising, but now they've got a different show called Breaking Point. I like watching them. Joe Rogan now has decided that he's going to become what he calls apolitical after all the shit he's been through. He said he doesn't want to be in that space. He doesn't want to influence anybody. He said all he was ever interested in doing was talking to people, having conversations. And he got put in such a bad light now that he doesn't even want to have the conversation. And that's unfortunate because he is one of the most influential, if not the most influential person on the planet, really. Over 200 million subscribers, 11 million viewers per show. CNN doesn't even, they don't even get 1 million viewers during prime time on their nonsense. Joe Rogan does a podcast on Spotify, has 11 million viewers per show. And he's saying, and he's on the left. He came out and he backed Bernie Sanders. He likes Andrew Yang. He's for UBI. He's for Medicare for all. He believes in gay rights, in transgender rights. He's come out and made a stance that says that, if somebody's transitioned, if you're a man, a biological man, and you transition at like 18 years old, okay, then physiologically, if you go through the transition, and I don't, there's hormones involved and stuff like that. Certainly those levels do change, but your physiology, your physique, your build, it's not changing. It's not. And so he's come out and said that he doesn't think that that's right. And this is a guy that's an expert in the UFC. There was a transgender individual that was fighting females and just beating the shit out of him. And he came out and said something about it and was just labeled as a transphobe because of that. And he's not. And I'm not saying that people that are trans shouldn't compete. But you know what? If you are a biological man and you're in college and you transition, sure, you can still compete. But guess what? You're going to compete in the men's divisions. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything transphobic about that. If we want to look out for females, if we want to, if you want to talk about equity, if you want to talk about gender equity, there's your gender equity right there, because it is not fair for somebody I mean, I'm just going to pull up a picture here and we'll see what you all think. I'll leave it to you guys. You know, do your own homework here. Let's see. I want to pull up a photo here of Lia Thomas. I can get one up here. She's an Ivy League swimmer. And I don't know why I'm not getting anything to come up. Let's try it again over here. I had a photo up earlier. Okay. All right. I'm just going to pull up some photos here and you make the call. I'm not making any judgment on this individual. Okay? I'm not. I honestly hope that she's happy with who she is, and I hope she lives a fulfilling and a great life. But I don't think is that, and I'm going to pull this up. Okay. Let's look at this photo right here. Let me see if I can get this one to come up on the big screen here. Okay. This is Lia Thomas. Okay. National champion, right? You see that right here? Can we all see this? See if I can pull it up. Of course, they're going to get into DeSantis, but DeSantis declared that that the female from Florida was actually the champion. Okay. All right. So there we have the image right there. See if I can blow this up a little bit so you can maybe see it better. Take my ugly mug out of there. All right. Okay, here we go. This is Lia Thomas. This is, I believe she was from Florida, got second, and then this is the female that got third. Look at the difference here. Now, granted, Lia Thomas is up on a podium. There looks to be about a 3-inch difference, but that appears to be about a foot difference in height. Now, tell me that's fair. Tell me that's fair for these two females who busted their ass their entire life to try and get to where they're at, to have to compete against an individual that size. I'm not saying anything derogatory about this individual. I do not, for the life of me, understand the conscious aspect of that, like how, like the moral aspect of it, like thinking that, I mean, I don't understand how Lia Thomas thinks that it's a fair competition, I guess I would say. And this might piss some of you off. I don't know. I'm with DeSantis, though. He declared the Florida swimmer the rightful winner. I'm with him. I think that's legit. When Lia Thomas was a male, she was 462nd in the country. Now, these female athletes cannot compete. It is nothing against female athletes whatsoever. Men and women are different. You can't. To say otherwise is to be about as ignorant as you can possibly be. In my mind, I might be wrong. I'm sure somebody's going to think I'm wrong. It's very, very, here's you've got the females over here, they're all taking a picture together. And then here's Lia Thomas over here, just standing there with her trophy. Look at her neck. That is not, this is an individual that just is, I'm trying to find the picture of going off the, and there's a photo of, the start of a race. And I'm not sure where that went. I'll see if I can find it here. But you can see what I'm saying, and I'm not being unreasonable here. I don't think anybody's being unreasonable in saying that, hey, if she wants to compete against the men. It's not fair. I mean, you want to talk gender equity, and this is not gender equity. It's not. And you can't say that men who have transitioned and go and get in a ring in a UFC fight with females. You can't say that's gender equity either. And it really makes me wonder, like, where are the feminists? I mean, it seems to me to be common sense. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely screwed up. But I mean, when you look at what happens to, this fighter that was, nobody really even knew. And I come to find out that she used to be a he, and she's out there just kicking the shit out of people. I mean, I don't see how that's right. I don't see how that's equitable towards females or fair. I just don't. I don't, I don't get it. I'm not a misogynist. I love women. I'm not a misogynist. I'm all for everybody being treated equally, treated well, treated fairly. I've never, believed in anything other than that. So, I don't know. Let's take a look here. Here we go. I'll pull up another photo for you. All right. Look at this individual here. You show me a biological female that stands up against that individual. Really? That's... I don't think so. And then they want to throw a fit over the fact that Florida says that, hey, we just don't even want to have kids kindergarten through third grade, inundated with all this stuff. I don't see any reason why that's a problem. But we'll get off of all that. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the whole Hunter Biden thing. Here's my prediction. Even if he does get indicted, he's going to get pardoned by his dad because his dad has no intentions of running again. Yeah. There's a few other things here, that I was looking into the other day, looking into Eric Schmidt and the Office of Science and Technology Policy, and the fact that he paid, two of the members of that security, he's now the chairman of the National Security Commission of Artificial Intelligence. He indirectly helped pay the salaries of two senior OSTP staffers. Mark Adenoff, office chief of staff, was one of those. And he's also tied to Eric Lander, who he had to resign because of, being a derogatory and just basically a dick to, people he worked with. So you've got basically Google. That's a whole nother can of worms there, but basically they're inside the White House. And, and we've got a president that has no grip on reality. When he was asked, had he watched any of the Ketanji Brown Jackson confirmation hearings, he stated no, that he didn't have a chance to see any of it. And that's exactly what he said. He said, I didn't have a chance to see any of it. The White House staff, on the other hand, they came out and talked all this stuff about how impressed he was with her demeanor, and just went on and on and on. So you have a situation there where, okay, either one, all right, you've got Biden is lying. Okay. Number two, the White House staff is lying. Now, they've had to walk back all these statements from him in the last week. It just goes on day after day after day. I mean, he's up there on a global podium talking about regime change. He says if Russia uses chemical weapons that we will respond in kind. Now, do I think that that's what he meant? But okay, when you're a politician, you're up there orating. You have to be very careful of what you say. That's why they have speechwriters. That's why these people have teleprompters. So when you say that the United States will respond in kind toward a chemical weapons attack, by definition, that means the response will be the same, which would, in theory, mean we would respond with a chemical weapon. Okay, so that's what he said. Now they walked that back. He sat there in front of the 82nd Airborne and said, when you're over there, you're going to see women and children standing in front of tanks, refusing to give up their ground. When you're over there, talking about Ukrainian women and children standing in front of tanks, talking to the 82nd Airborne, saying, when you're over there. Peter Doocy asked him about it. He says, now, sir, it seems that you said we'd use chemical warfare. He says, it seems that you told the 82nd Airborne that they were going to go to Ukraine. It seems that you supported regime change. And he sat there and said, no, none of those three things happened. And he's like, who's walking what back? Okay, here's the third option is that Joe Biden did see the hearings or the confirmations, and he doesn't remember. If you thought George Bush Jr. was a dummy, ain't seen nothing yet. We still got a while to go here. We got a while to go. So any of y'all out there that thinks your vote matters, I hope you take into consideration what you're voting for when the midterm elections come along here. Because I don't know. This dude, I mean, he's done a pretty good job of wrecking us. And where did Fauci go? He came out the other day and said something about, well, I don't want to say anything about, mandates that makes everybody, lockdowns. I don't want to say nothing about that, but we might have to go back to some, you might have to be flexible and go back to some restrictions. Anybody out there having any issues with the vid? With the Unicorn Part 2? I don't know anybody who has in a long time. I don't know. Maybe we'll get hit with it out here in Coyote, Wyoming as the springtime rolls upon us, because the population in this town, once Yellowstone Park opens, it turns into a whole different place. It's a ghost town during the winter out here, and I love it. I love it. There's nobody here. It's awesome. You can get from one side of town to the other in like 7 minutes flat. It's awesome. Summertime, I don't even go down on Main Street. I like that. I take different routes to stay away from that nonsense. The place is just teeming with tourists from all over the world. And we had a pretty good kind of an explosion of the Rona last year. But I don't think we were prepared. And, I'm not even going to get into all that. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But I'm not even going to talk about any of that, because obviously a person like me is not allowed to. Everybody else can, but I can't. So that's fine. Whatever. But anyway, the big things that I've seen that are driving me nuts has been this, and the thing is, something like this bill in Florida, they come up with these phrases. You don't think that there's a bunch of strategists that are coining these phrases and putting them out there? Anybody who read that bill, there's people out there that instigate this shit. If you read the bill, and I urge you to, HB 1557, 7 pages, just read it. At least then you'll be informed. Then you'll be informed about what it is and what it's saying. And if you're a parent, you're going to read it and you're going to go, I have no problem with this. Even if you're not a parent, you're going to read it and go, I have no issue with this. I mean, the people that are taking issue are these less than savory, Hollywood leftists and these woke idiots, And, hey, guess what? I know a number of school teachers that are gay. And they don't believe in going in there and inundating their students with their sexual orientation. That's just that's their business. They don't go in there and into the classroom and do this to kids. I've talked to a number of friends that are gay school teachers, and I've brought it up, and they've straight told me, they're like, yeah, that's nothing that we would ever even, somebody with with any kind of conscious or moral and ethical standing is not, you're not going to try and inundate a child with that. So it just doesn't make any sense. And, here's what we need to understand, people. We're not the problem. We need to be the solution. And we need to stand up for what's right. And we do need to protect people. I mean, we can't abide by any violence towards any group of people. I mean, there's no way that I advocate that. I think that people that are gay, trans, anybody that falls under that guise of, the letters change every day. I can't keep up with it. But anybody in any of those categories deserves the same decency and respect as anybody else. They deserve to be treated equally, fairly, and not be discriminated against. Okay? I would never say anything other than that, but I also do not believe that little kids need to be inundated with this stuff. They don't understand it. And quite frankly, I believe that it's a discussion that parents need to have with their kids as they get older, much as I've had to do. And it's kind of uncomfortable to do so, but it's a discussion that you have to have. As a parent, it's just one of those things. So anyways, I don't know. It's frustrating. My hope is that we could find some way to get some sort of peace, especially for the innocent people that have been killed. And the families that have lost people and lost their homes and had to flee their country. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. And hopefully there's some way that some common sense will come out in this whole thing. Because it seems to me there's a lot of emotion involved right now. And when people get emotional, they get really stupid. And they believe anything as long as it coincides with what their emotion is telling them. And when you allow yourself to get wound up by the media and these images that you're seeing that you can neither verify or debunk. That's the tough thing, is like a lot of this stuff, it's like you can't verify it and you can't debunk it. So it's like, you kind of got to sit back and be as objective as you can, be compassionate towards the people that have had their lives just torn asunder because they didn't deserve it. But yet the people in this country, we don't deserve what's going on either. We don't deserve the inflation. We don't deserve what's coming down the pike at us. We don't deserve to have all these people being homeless and people making choices between getting insulin or buying groceries. We've been taken advantage of. We've been used. And then it keeps happening through these different crises that come up. So it puts everything on the back burner for what you and I, the normal everyday American, goes through. It puts all that on the back burner, and it says, well, you just have to make these sacrifices for us. Well, guess what? Guess what? The top 700 wealthy people in this country have come up like 54% in their wealth since all this stuff started a couple, 2.5 years ago. Who was it? Rahm Emanuel said, never, always capitalize on a good crisis. That's what happens. And the people with the wealth, they know how to do that. Look at what the pharmaceutical companies have come up. Look it up. Follow these money. You follow the money and you'll find your answers. It just takes a little homework. It takes a desire to figure it out, to be awake, not woke. On that note, be good or be good at it. In all things, be kind. And please, do no harm. All right? Much love to y'all. I hope everybody's good. Stay up. I hope everybody gets through this nonsense, and we can do it. I mean, but it's gonna take all of us. And by that I mean each and every one of us. I'm not talking religion, I'm not talking race, I'm not talking anything, political affiliation, sexual identity, gender identity. It doesn't matter. We all need to come together, and we all need to make sure that the things that are right, morally, ethically, and just from a standpoint of humanity, that's what we get behind. Because what we're getting behind right now, it ain't working. If you tell me this is working right now, then I'm going to either call you delusional or just a flat out liar. Because if anybody out there thinks that what's going on right now is working, I don't think many of you do. Honestly, does anybody out there? I mean, if you think that what's going on right now is working, then hit me up and let me know, and you explain to me how you think that this is working out. I mean, it's working all right, but it is not working out for the benefit of the people. There's nearly 340 million of us. There's very few of them. But you got to get your mind right. You got to do your homework. You got to get, you got to have, you got to put some skin in the game. Bottom line. If you don't, then, hey, I feel sorry for you. But don't be surprised when what's coming down the pike hits you and blindsides you. If you're not awake to it, if you don't understand what's going on here. Yeah. On that note, I'm going to bounce out of here. I don't know what I'm going to take you out with. Not really sure yet. I'm going to find something here that they'll let me play. I think we'll just go back to the beginning of this guy.
Everyone blames white folks for every little bitty thing. We don't have no one to blame, we take responsibility. They tell you be a man, then call it toxic masculinity. Then when you act too feminine, they call it white fragility.
I don't understand trans man with humility. I'm just trying to raise my kid the best of my ability. If I disagree, you try to cancel, get rid of me. You cancer, you can't be the answer, you killing me.
And I hate white supremacy just as much as you, but I ain't feeling guilty for something I didn't do. The system's killing everyone, it sucks but it's true. They kill you, then they broadcast it and call it the news.
Or they'll brainwash you through social media feeds. And if you disagree, delete you immediately. Make America China pretty easy to see. I will always remember the land of the free.
You act like you're so much better than us. Yeah, we know that. Who told you that you so special? To a new world order. Your facts ain't facts without censoring us. Yeah, we know that. Good job, you lose, here's your medal. To a new world order.
Better watch your back, it's a white boy summer. Whole iPhone full of white boy gunners. We all come up from the bottom like the pipes in the gutter. Got the shotgun going bum, 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 bum. Call me white trash, white boy, I kinda like that. If you got a problem, you can come and kiss my white. I don't really care what I'm